Hello and welcome to History Shortened. Have you ever wondered how a lone, nameless warrior can shape the course of history? This isn't a hypothetical. It happened on a late September day, 1066, on a battlefield at a bridge over the River Derwent, currently known as East Riding of Yorkshire. King Harold Godwinson and his Anglo-Saxon fighters appeared from the west, catching off guard the Norseman forces under King Harold Hardrada on the east riverbank. The Vikings, unprepared and in chaos, needed crucial moments to organise their defence. Suddenly they were no longer the hunters, but the hunted. In the midst of this chaos, an unnamed Viking warrior took a stand. On the narrow wooden bridge, the Viking, armed with only his axe, faced an entire army of 15,000 English fighters. A single man against a flood of steel and flesh, committed to buy his king and his people the time they desperately needed. As the English forces attacked, this lone warrior stood firm. Every swing of his axe, every block his shield, bought his fellow Vikings precious moments to regroup. With each second he held his ground, the tide of battle was delayed, and the unrelenting onslaught from the English forces was held back by the bravery of one man. History commonly celebrates the names of kings and generals, the architects of war. But on this day, at the Derwent Bridge, the course of history was redirected by an unnamed Viking warrior. His name might forever remain a mystery, but his bravery will never be forgotten. Against overwhelming odds, one brave Viking held his ground, delaying an entire army, thus securing his king those precious moments. This was the unexpected battle, a pivotal moment in the saga of 1066, a year that would forever change the face of England. When a king passes away without an heir, who has the right to stake a claim to the throne? This question came to light in the year 1066 when King Edward, the Confessor of England, died without designating an heir. This gave rise to a power vacuum, with three individuals stepping forward to claim the throne. Among them, Harold Godwinson, the Saxon Earl of Wessex, stood out, supported by the local nobility. Nevertheless, his claim was challenged. Harold Hardrada, the King of Norway, also known as Fair Hair, staked his claim to the English throne. Known as a fearsome warrior, Hardrada wasn't one to let his claim go uncontested. As the power struggle intensified, a third contender emerged from the shadows in the northern regions of France. His claim was uncertain, but he commanded a significant force and made his intentions clear. He was distant and his threat wasn't as immediate. Amid the chaos, alliances were forged and rivalries ignited. Hardrada allied himself with Tostig, Godwinson's brother. Tostig was once the Earl of Northumbria, but Godwinson seized his title, branding him an outlaw. Hardrada and Tostig, united by their shared enemy in Godwinson, joined forces. They gathered a force of Norsemen and recruits from Flanders, forming an army of between 9,000 and 11,000. They arrived on England's shores in a fleet of 300 ships, causing panic and chaos among the Anglo-Saxons. In response, Godwinson sent the Earl of Mercia and the newly appointed Northumbria to assemble an army and push back the invaders. The stage was set for a crucial battle that would determine England's future. As the Norsemen prepared for battle, they were confident that their forces were strong enough to win the English throne. But as history would soon show, having confidence alone is not enough when the stakes are as high as a kingdom. Victory can sometimes instigate overconfidence and complacency. There is no better illustration in history than the Battle of Fulford that occurred on September 20th, 1066. Norse King Harold Hardrada, together with his ally Tostig, handed a crushing defeat to Saxon forces. Feeling invincible and unbothered, they revelled in their triumph, convinced no formidable military threats were impending. Hardrada and Tostig's troops, consisting of Flemish mercenaries, ranged between 9 and 11,000. Their success at Fulford was definitive, and the Norsemen relished their glory-filled moment, their hearts brimming with pride, and their minds teeming with vision's conquest. However, they had misjudged their opponents. The Saxons, under King Harold Godwinson's guidance, were not to be underestimated. Unfazed by the loss at Fulford, the Saxon king was swiftly mobilizing his forces, readying for retaliation. The Norse forces, post their Fulford triumph, unwound along the River Derwent banks, convinced that the battle had ended and the war was their victory. Little did they realize their celebration was premature. The Norse forces revelled in their triumph, oblivious of the tempest that was gathering to the south. Sometimes the greatest victories are won not on the battlefield, but on the road leading to it. This insight rings true when we delve into the story of King Harold Godwinson's audacious march on the Vikings. The Saxon king, undeterred by the distance and urgency, commandeered his army of 15,000 men on a relentless march of 180 miles over 4 grueling days. It was a march that would etch their names into history itself. Speed and determination of Godwinson's force were unparalleled, a testament to their resolve and their king's astute command. The sheer audacity of their march went unnoticed by the Norse scouts, their absence in detecting the approaching forces a catastrophic failure that would cost them dearly. Meanwhile, the Viking army, led by King Harald Hardrada, was caught off guard. Unprepared and scattered along the river's edge, they were a far cry from the formidable force that had triumphed at Fulford. The unusually hot September day had prompted most Vikings to leave their heavy and uncomfortable armour miles away on their ships. They were, in essence, an army bereft of its protective shell, caught in the open. Despite their disadvantage, the Norsemen, under Hardrada's command, decided against retreat. They chose instead to make a stand, a defiant testament to their warrior spirit. The Norse forces steeled themselves for the impending battle. Their preparation was a race against time, a desperate attempt to marshal their defences against an enemy that had caught them by surprise. The stage was set, the players in place, and the die cast. As the Saxon army bore down upon them, the Norse forces prepared for a battle that would decide the fate of England. Thank you. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you all.